Welcome to a deep dive into life-transforming wisdom, an invitation to reflect on our spiritual journey and the relentless search for a greater meaning. If you feel your soul yearns for something more, for a true connection and a path of peace, this video is for you. Before we proceed, I ask that you join our community of seekers of light by subscribing to the channel and leaving your like. Each subscription and each like is like an echo that amplifies this message, allowing it to reach and touch the hearts of many other people who, like us, need to hear these words of hope and encouragement. Your participation is fundamental for the light to spread and illuminate more paths. Prayer, often seen as a simple act of asking, is actually a gateway to divine action in our lives. It's not about our strength, our eloquence, or our ability to persuade, but rather the humble surrender that allows God to work wonders. When we pray, it is not we who act with power, but the Creator Himself who moves in our favor, through us and by means of us. That is why prayer is omnipotent, not because we have power in ourselves, but because it invites the Almighty to intervene. It has the capacity to move mountains, to transform hardened hearts, to heal deep wounds, and even to alter the course of history, as we see in so many accounts of conversions and miracles. Prayer is the recognition of our dependence and the affirmation of our unwavering faith that with God all things are possible. It is an intimate dialogue where we surrender our worries, our longings, and our gratitude. And He, in His infinite goodness, responds in ways that often surpass our understanding. May we then embrace prayer not as a burden, but as the privilege of inviting the divine to reign in every aspect of our existence, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. Humility, that sublime and often misunderstood virtue, is the key to true inner freedom, a powerful antidote to the paralysis imposed by pride. When we fall, and we all fall at some point in our journey, pride imprisons us in the fear of others' judgment, in the shame of our imperfection, preventing us from getting up and starting again. It makes us believe that the fall is the end, that failure defines us. Humility, on the other hand, frees us from this prison. It teaches us that making mistakes is part of the human condition, that imperfection is the starting point for growth, and that forgiveness, both what we ask for and what we receive, is the path to healing. The humble person is not afraid to acknowledge their weaknesses, for they know that it is in their smallness that divine grace can act with greater intensity. They get up, sincerely ask for forgiveness, and start again with renewed strength, without hesitation, without the weight of self-justification. Humility gives us the courage to be authentic, to shed our masks, and to present ourselves before God and our brothers and sisters with a contrite heart, open to transformation. It is the virtue that allows us to learn from our mistakes, grow in wisdom, and move forward with the lightness of those who trust more in divine mercy than in their own abilities. For many, the confessional remains a place of fear and apprehension, but the truth is that it reveals itself as a sanctuary of healing and renewal, a space where condemnation dissolves into the immensity of divine love and forgiveness. It is not a court where we are judged and sentenced, but rather an inexhaustible source of mercy, where the infinite merits of Christ are poured out upon our wounded souls. It is there that, with a contrite and sincere heart, we can unload the weight of our sins, our failings, and our miseries, and receive in return the lightness of a purified soul. Confession is an act of profound humility and trust, a recognition that we need God's grace to rise again and continue our journey. It is a transformative encounter with Jesus Himself, who awaits us with open arms, ready to embrace, forgive, and restore us. Through the priest, who acts in persona Christi, we are enveloped by a love that does not judge, but welcomes, that does not condemn, but redeems. May we then approach this sacrament with the certainty that it is a balm for the soul, a sure path to inner peace and full reconciliation with God and with ourselves. Spiritual sincerity is the foundation of any genuine progress in our life of faith, an invitation to radical transparency before God and ourselves. Keeping hidden sins, nurturing secrets that corrode the soul, is like carrying an invisible weight that hinders our spiritual flight, suffocating the grace and freedom given to us. It takes immense courage to unveil the depths of our hearts, to expose our weaknesses and our most intimate miseries, not only in sacramental confession, but also in frank dialogue with a spiritual director. This sometimes painful honesty is the path to true liberation. When we refuse to confront our shadows, they gain strength and keep us trapped in a cycle of self-deception and stagnation. Sincerity allows us to see the truth about ourselves without filters or disguises, and it is in this truth that the light of God can penetrate and heal. It is an act of trust in divine mercy, which is not frightened by our imperfection, but embraces and transforms it. May we therefore cultivate this virtue of sincerity, seeking the purity of heart that allows us to walk in the light without hidden burdens and truly progress on our journey of sanctification. The temptation to flee from God after sinning is one of the oldest and most persistent in human history, echoing the attitude of Adam and Eve, who after their disobedience tried to hide from the divine presence in the garden. It is a human instinct, almost automatic, to distance ourselves from the source of light when we feel stained by the darkness of our failings. Shame, fear of punishment, and a feeling of unworthiness drive us to hide, to isolate ourselves, to believe that we are irremediably unworthy of His presence. However, the deepest and most comforting truth is that God never flees from us. On the contrary, it is He who, in His infinite goodness and unconditional love, always comes to meet us, even when we are lost in our own labyrinths of guilt and despair. He calls us by name, seeks us tirelessly, and extends His hand to rescue us from the abyss we ourselves have created. His mercy is greater than any sin, and His desire to forgive and restore us far surpasses our capacity to err. May we, then, resist the temptation to turn away and instead run into the arms of the Father, who awaits us with an open heart, ready to welcome us, heal us, and guide us back to the path of life. If these words resonate with your heart, if you feel this message is touching your soul and offering a new perspective on faith, don't let it be lost. Your act of subscribing to the channel and liking this video is a powerful gesture that helps the algorithm understand the relevance of this content, propelling it so that more people who may be seeking guidance right now can find it. Think of how many lives can be transformed, how many hearts can be comforted, and how many souls can be inspired by this wisdom. Your simple action makes an immense difference in spreading this message of hope and love. Perseverance, often confused with blind stubbornness, is actually a holy stubbornness, an essential virtue for those seeking holiness and spiritual victory. Falling does not mean being defeated. A fall is merely a moment, a stumble on the path, and not the end of the journey. True defeat lies in remaining on the ground, in giving up the fight, in accepting failure as a final destiny. Victory, in the context of spiritual life, is not measured by the absence of falls, but by the ability to rise after each one, to start again with the same or even greater determination. Victory belongs to those who persevere with right intention, who keep their gaze fixed on God, even when the battles seem lost and their strength seems exhausted. It is faithfulness to purpose, constancy in love, and unwavering trust in divine grace that propel us forward, even in the face of the most challenging adversities. May we then cultivate this holy stubbornness, this resilience of the soul that allows us to face life's battles with the certainty that, with God, we are always victorious, even when we lose some fights. Pessimism, that dense fog that obscures the soul and paralyzes action, is a distorted view of reality that excludes the presence and action of God. It arises from a limited perspective, focusing only on difficulties and obstacles, ignoring the infinite power of the one who can do all things. It is a subtle form of cowardice, disguised as prudence, that prevents us from dreaming big, from trusting fully, and from acting with the boldness that faith invites us to. Those who work for God, who surrender to His will and trust in His providence, have every reason to expect great things, to have unwavering hope. The history of salvation is full of examples of how God opens paths where there seemed to be no way out, as He did with Moses before the Red Sea, or with the apostles before a hostile world. Pessimism robs us of joy, prevents us from seeing opportunities, and distances us from the source of all strength. May we then reject this limiting mindset, embracing a vibrant faith that impels us to serve God with joy, with confidence, and with the certainty that He is always with us, opening doors and transforming the impossible into reality. Loving God in small things is the path to holiness that Saint Thérèse of Lisieux taught us with such depth and simplicity. It is not necessary to perform great heroic deeds or extraordinary miracles to please God and walk towards holiness. True greatness lies in the faithfulness and love with which we perform the simplest and most everyday gestures. A sincere smile offered to a stranger, patience in a difficult conversation, dedication in washing dishes with care, full attention to someone who needs listening, overcoming a small irritation. All this can become an act of profound love for God. It is in routine, in seemingly insignificant details, that the opportunity to transform our lives into a continuous prayer, into a sacrifice of praise, is hidden. Every small action, when done with the pure intention of pleasing God and serving our neighbor, acquires eternal value. It is an invitation to live the present intensely, to find the divine in the ordinary, and to sanctify every moment of our existence, making ourselves instruments of His grace and His love in the world. The Christian paradox reveals a profound and liberating truth. It is precisely in our misery, our weakness, and our imperfection that we are driven to seek God and experience His transformative power. Far from distancing us from Him, our limitations draw us closer, for they make us recognize our total dependence on His grace. It is when we feel most fragile that the promise that I can do all things through Him who strengthens me becomes more real and tangible. Human weakness in itself can be an abyss of despair, but when united with the divine, it is transformed into an inexhaustible source of strength and courage. God does not choose us for our perfection, but for our willingness to let ourselves be molded by Him, to allow His light to shine through our cracks. It is in this encounter between our smallness and His greatness that grace works miracles, transforming what is weak into powerful, what is limited into unlimited. May we then embrace our miseries not as a burden, but as an invitation to throw ourselves into God's arms, allowing Him to strengthen us, heal us, and use us as instruments of His will, revealing to the world that it is in weakness that His strength is fully manifested. Praying with the trust of a child is the pinnacle of surrender and faith, the purest and most powerful way to relate to God. It is a filial abandonment, a total and unconditional surrender, like that of a child who throws himself into his father's arms, even with the fear of jumping, because he knows he will be supported. This trust does not question, does not doubt, it only fully trusts in the love and goodness of the Father. It is not about an elaborate prayer or fancy words, but a simple and sincere dialogue where the heart opens without reservation, expressing its longings, its fears, and its gratitude. It is the certainty that God hears us, loves us, and desires the best for us, even if His plans are different from ours. This childlike trust frees us from anxiety, control, and the need to understand everything, allowing us to rest in divine providence. It is the prayer that disarms pride and self-sufficiency, opening space for God's grace to flow freely in our lives. May we, then, cultivate this childlike attitude, throwing ourselves into the arms of the Father with the certainty that He loves us infinitely, and that in His arms we find the peace and security we so desperately seek. We have reached the end of this profound reflection, an invitation to look at our spiritual life with new eyes, inspired by the wisdom of Forja and the words of Friar Gilson. I hope each chapter has touched your heart and offered valuable insights for your journey of faith. Now, I want to hear from you. What point resonated most with your soul? What teaching will you take with you to apply in your daily life? Share your impressions and experiences in the comments below. Your participation enriches our community and helps us grow together in faith. And if this video was a blessing to you, consider sharing it with friends and family so that more people can be reached by this message of hope and transformation. May God's peace be with you.